Hello, Ellsworth. It's Mrs. Thomas back again for the next instalment of Mr. Dog. This is the third instalment. There are 4 altogether. So when I finish reading today, you can try to work out what you think the end of the story is going to be. I'm indoors today because it's a bit windier, a bit cooler. And I have to say, last week I did get a bit hot and bothered. I'm not sure why I chose to sit in the sun with the sun in my eyes, getting really hot and flustered, but I did. But today should be a bit calmer. It was really lovely last week to see lots of you on Teams with Mrs. Jenkinson. We were amazed at how much you were doing at home, all the fun things, and I hope that some of you get some ideas from what you heard other people saying. So let me get on with the story and see what Mr. Dog is up to now. Mr. Dog turned round quickly to find a black cat sauntering out from behind the wheel of the caravan. She was swishing her tail from side to side. Her green eyes glittered. "What is that thing?" squeaked Shoo. "It's a monster," Sneaker squealed. "Can it fly?" "No," said Socks, "but your fur will if it catches you. It's a cat, a big, horrible cat." "My name is Kitty, and this is my sight." Her green eyes met Mr. Dog's. "Who are you?" Now, Mr. Dog didn't care much for cats, but he tried to treat them with respect, the same as all animals he met. He'd known some dogs who loved to chase cats, and known several cats who loved to fight back with a serious scratch to the nose. Mr. Dog had a feeling that Kitty fell very much into that group, and since he was rather fond of his nose, he decided it was best to be friendly. "Greetings, Kitty. My name's Mr. Dog, and my rabbity friends are Socks, Shoo, Flip-Flop, and Sneaker. So, this is your sight, is it? Congratulations, and may I say that your water dish is definitely a sight for sore eyes." "You drank from my dish, which means you're a thief as well as an intruder." Kitty looked past him and stared at the rabbits. "The human shoot would go mad if they saw you all running about. None of you should be here." Her eyes glittered as she licked her lips. "This place is a site of great historical importance, you know." "A what of who?" said Socks, baffled. Kitty gave him a disdainful look. "Have you never heard of archaeology?" "Archaeology?" Flip-Flop struggled to get her tiny bunny lips around the big word. "I've never heard of it. Any of you bunnies ever heard of it?" "Nope," squeaked Sneaker. "We're only 2 weeks old," Shoo explained. "We've hardly heard of anything." "But I have," Mr. Dog yelped. "Of course, what a silly dog I've been." "Keep your woofing down," hissed Kitty, "or you'll wake my servants. Some of them live here on site." Mr. Dog swung round to Socks and the bunnies, still peeping wide-eyed from the mouth of the tunnel. "She doesn't really have servants. This place is what's known as a dig. The people in charge here are archaeologists, people who learn about ancient cultures by digging up the things they left behind. Buildings, tools, jewellery, and old coins. That's why they were buried in the mud." Socks's nose was twitching with excitement. "So people used to live here long ago?" Kitty nodded. "There was a fort here back in Roman times, so the ground is full of its ruins and old bits and bobs." "The rabbits don't care about stuff like that, do they?" Mr. Dog reasoned. "So why are your servants trying to get rid of them?" "Because rabbits mess up the whole dig site." Kitty glared at Socks, Shoo, Flip-Flop, and Sneaker. "My servants moan about your lot all the time. Rabbits dig deep into the soil, making their burrows and warrens. That undermines the foundations of the ruins, so they fall apart faster. The different layers of old stuff get jumbled up, so it's harder to know just how things were left and who left them there." "So that's why they've been trying to keep rabbit numbers down." Mr. Dog gave Kitty what he hoped was his most appealing smile. I saw a rabbit being brought here yesterday. Do you know where we can find her? How dare you ask me to help you? Kitty arched her back and hissed. Mr. Dog stepped away and the rabbit squealed in harmony. You have a nerve, you scruffy mutt. Scruffy? Mr. Dog scratched his ear with his back leg. I'll have you know my neckerchief is the height of fashion. You break into my sight, drink from my water dish, listen to my explanations without even a thank you, and then you expect favours? Kitty smiled and shook her head. If you want to stay here a minute longer, it's going to cost you 1 bunny. Mr. Dog flattened his ears to his head, horrified. Excuse me? Kitty's green eyes were sparkling. Give me one of the bunnies to play with, just one, and perhaps I'll tell you more. I'll do it! Shoo jumped up and down. I love playing. No, said Socks quickly, this one is one game you never win. Mr. Dog decided it was time to bare his teeth a little. What if we don't give you a bunny? Kitty hissed again and slashed at Mr. Dog with her sharp claws. A red strip of fabric was torn clear from his neckerchief collar. Mr. Dog stared down at it and gulped. Just do as I say, or you'll be sorry. I'll howl and yowl and wake everyone up. Kitty sat beside her water dish and grinned nastily at the rabbits. By the way, if you try to run, remember that I'm faster than you. I'll catch you quickly, and maybe then I'll eat 2 rabbits, or even 3. Mr. Dog looked at Sock, Sneaker, Flip-Flop and Shoo, who had started to quiver. I'm afraid we have no choice, he said softly. Which of you wants to come and play with Kitty here? None of us. Socks jumped up, appalled. You can't let this flea bag get her way. On the contrary, said Mr. Dog, I'm going to give her what she deserves. He winked carefully at the rabbits, then turned to Flip-Flop. Hop over here, please, little one. Please. OK, Mr. Dog, said Flip-Flop, looking up at him with worried black eyes. It's all right. Mr. Dog lifted her gently in his jaws. Just remember, when I drop you, close your eyes. He turned and crossed back towards Kitty. Here, he growled through a mouthful of fur. Will this one do? Yes, Kitty declared, licking her lips as she laughed. It's skinny and small, but I'll have some fun with it. Don't forget, though, Kitty, Mr. Dog added, you should always wash your paws before a meal. Get ready, Flip-Flop, he whispered. Here, let us help you out. And suddenly, with a flick of his neck, Mr. Dog dropped Flip-Flop into the cat's water dish. The little rabbit made a big impact, sending cold water flying all over Kitty. Surprised, the cat jumped backwards, straight into the rack of old relics. She struck them hard enough to set the wooden rack rocking, and a bowl rolled off and cracked open on the hard ground. Kitty gave a yowl of horror as she saw shards of priceless pottery all over the floor. And just at that moment, a bolt scraped back noisily from the caravan door. Someone was coming out. Hide, hissed Mr. Dog. He snatched the bedraggled Flip-Flop from the water dish and carried her underneath the caravan, while Socks bounced over to join them with Shoo and Sneaker riding on his back. As soon as Mr. Dog disappeared from view beneath the caravan, a woman's legs appeared above, sticking out from below a dressing gown. Kitty! Oh, you naughty Kitty girl! Kitty seemed frozen with horror as the woman bustled over and scooped up the black cat. I'm going to have to put that bowl back together. No more playing outside for you this morning. Come on! With a meow of dismay, meow, Kitty was whisked back inside the caravan and the door slammed shut behind her. Mr. Dog breathed a sigh of relief. It's meant to be good luck when a black cat crosses your path, but I think her owner was much luckier for us. She was too busy looking at the broken bowl to notice the tunnel by the fence, Socks agreed. Shoo nuzzled up to Flip-Flop. You You were awesome, sis. You really were. Sneaker kissed her nose. You showed that mean cat who was boss. I'm sorry I had to drop you like that, Flip-Flop, and give you your first bath. Mr. Dog bowed his head to her. Will you ever forgive me? Yeah. Flip-Flop dried herself against Mr. Dog's furry legs. But I don't think I like baths very much. Mr. Dog? Shoo looked up at him wide-eyed. Where's our mum? Please can we find her now? As Sneaker and Flip-Flop nodded. We'll start the search at once. Mr. Dog edged cautiously from underneath the caravan, sniffing the air for a trace of rabbits. But he smelled humans instead and froze as a man walked out from the Portakabin on the other side of the courtyard. It was the same man who had taken Mother Rabbit away in the trap. The caravan door creaked open overhead and Mr. Dog retreated under the cover. What happened out here, Joe? Said the man. I was woken up and... He saw the broken bowl. Oh, no. Sorry, Hussan. My silly cat got carried away, probably mousing again. It would be quite a mouse that made that. The man, Hussan, was pointing to the tunnel under the fence. What in the world? Did Misha's lurcher do this? Can't have. She took him home with her last night. Now Joe, a slim lady with short brown hair, was bending over the hole. From the way the earth's fallen, I'd say something has pushed its way through rather than dug its way out. What a clever human, thought Mr. Dog approvingly. It's too small for a person, so we can rule out thieves or vandals. Hussan checked the racks. Nothing's been taken. No, I don't think so. Joe paused. Do you think rabbits could have done this? An army of intelligent rabbits, you mean? Hussan grinned. Wanting revenge on us for taking so many of them away? Don't, Joe said. The ones we caught are the lucky ones. I can't bear to think of the exterminators coming next week to get rid of the rest. They may be pests, but it doesn't feel right. Sneaker, Shoo and Flip-Flop couldn't stifle their gasps, and Socks was so shocked his ears flew up in the air. Mr. Dog snuggled against all four of them. At least we're saving some of the little rascals, said Hussan. They'll have a lovely new life in the national park, safely away from the dig and the farmers' fields. National Park? Shoo echoed. Flip-Flop's nose was quivering. Is that where Mum has gone? Will we ever see her again? Asked Sneaker. Mr. Dog nodded firmly, although Socks looked less certain. It'll be a useful life for them there too, Joe went on. That park authority is trying to preserve the grassland. Rabbits will eat the gorse and brambles, clearing the turf for low-growing plants. That will attract butterflies and insects and encourage all kinds of birds to nest there. I know, Joe, but we can't catch every single one by hand or lurcher and take them away, can we? Hussan put a hand on his shoulder. It just isn't practical. We had no idea that the dig would prove to be so important or so delicate. Rabbit habits have already made our job here 100 times harder. If they're allowed to go on burrowing... I know, said Joe sadly. I just wish we could give all the rabbits a happier life in that park. Perhaps we should put signs up, Hussan joked. Rabbit Sanctuary, this way. With some effort, he picked a heavy crate from beside the rack of relics and placed it over the hole. There, that should keep out whatever got in. Socks squeaked softly in dismay. Oh no, now we're trapped. What if whatever got in is still here somewhere? Joe looked around worriedly. I'm going to keep Kitty safely locked up inside till we're sure. That's good news anyway, whispered Mr. Dog. Well, no need to wake the others yet, Hussan yawned and stretched, as if he weren't quite awake himself. I'll have a look around, make sure nothing's been taken or damaged, just in case. Splendid plan, my dear Hussan, breathed Mr. Dog as Joe clomped back inside her caravan. Now we can follow him for a guided tour of the dig. Really? Socks twitched his nose crossly, which only made him look more adorable. You want us to follow a known rabbit catcher out in the open with our only escape route blocked off? I'm not suggesting we dance a conga with him, Mr. Dog protested. We need to find 3 things. Firstly, poor Mrs. Rabbit. Secondly, a new way out of here. And thirdly, a way to save all the other rabbits before it's too late. His eyes were shining in the shadows. And while Hassan is looking for us, he won't expect us to be following close behind him, will he? It sounds dangerous, said Shoo. Flip-Flop looked down at the ground. But we've got to risk it. Mum would do anything for us, and Sock, Sneaker agreed. We're a family. Yeah, we are. Socks quickly washed himself so he didn't have to look at her. Of course we are. Let's get going, said Mr. Dog. He knew the little bunnies were hungry and exhausted and couldn't last much longer. We must move as softly as dandelion clocks on a summer breeze. Come on. Still crawling, he led the way to the other side of the caravan and poked his head out to check the coast was clear. Nothing moved except for Hassan, who was heading across the dig site, so he led Shoo, Socks, Flip-Flop and Sneaker out into the sunlight. Kitty glared at them from the grimy caravan window, her paws pressed up against the glass with longing. Mr. Dog wagged his tail and padded lightly after Hassan, though his heart was feeling heavy. He badly wanted to make everything right around here. But how? So that is your 3rd part. You have 1 part left. What do you think is going to happen? Have a lovely day, whatever part of the day it is for you now. So like I said before, if it's the morning, you've got the rest of the day to enjoy. If it's lunchtime, hopefully you've had a lovely lunch and you're ready to go for the afternoon. Or if you're about to go to bed, have a wonderful sleep and get ready for a new day. See you soon. Bye.